Last week, Christopher Dring, a journalist for GamesIndustry.biz, published an interview with Electronics Arts EVP of Strategic Growth, Matt Bilbey. Although the conversation was focused on their streaming service and small developer support, what made headlines were statements on EA's current reputation as the bad guys. Let's talk about it on this week's episode of Good to Know Gaming. "25 years at EA and I still struggle with the external perception that we're just a bunch of bad guys." This is the quote that has sparked the interest of so many of us within the gaming community. But what he said next is what really caught my eye. "We love making and playing games. Unfortunately, when we make mistakes on games, the world knows about it because of its size and scale." Now, I understand that being one of the world's largest and well-known video game companies does come with a more focused eye from the public, but the issue I have with the sentiment is not just with the blatant avoidance of responsibility, but with the liberal use of the word mistake. Mistakes in video games can come in many forms. Sometimes there's something wrong within the code that wasn't picked up on until after release, often resulting in strange glitches or other issues. Sometimes it's a balancing issue, when an enemy or weapon is overpowered. But that is not the type of mistake being addressed here. What Matt Bilbey is referring to is the loot box pay-to-win controversy that surrounded Battlefront 2 and the backlash that came in the weeks after release. I agree that the leveling progression and power-up mechanics for this game were a major mistake, both in game design and public relations, but the implementation of them was not. Focus on microtransactions and pay-to-win mechanics were always going to be a bad idea, and it's hard to imagine that when Battlefront 2 was released, EA had no idea of the backlash they would receive. I think they knew full well that the core mechanics of the game were driven by greed, and they knew how the public would receive it, and they chose to release it anyway. This is not a mistake, this is pure intention. My theory is that they can afford the damage control, and so they have less reason to play it safe. Each new implementation of a loot box or gambling-based mechanic in general is simply testing the waters for how much they can get away with. The public will quickly let them know where the line is, and damage control comes in to clean it up. After all the controversy around Battlefront 2, it still sold a whopping 9 million copies, and EA made a cool $5 billion that financial year. What cause do EA have to reassess their strategies with outcomes like that? As the trend of microtransactions and randomized loot systems firmly cements itself into the future of gaming, questions are being raised of the ethical responsibility that studios have to protect children from addictive and harmful gambling mechanics. I understand that a lot of this is speculation, but the idea that EA's bad guy reputation stems simply from their size and not from their intentional focus on profit over ethics, to me is a major avoidance of responsibility. I believe as a community, we must speak up against this kind of behavior in the future, with our voices, but more importantly, with our wallets. If you have any thoughts on this topic, I would absolutely love to hear from you in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, if you like this video, to subscribe to my channel for weekly gaming news and reviews. I'm Kyle for Good to Know Gaming, and I'll see you next week.